Hey guys, it's Shade here, back to bring you another video in Borderlands 3. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you want to see more future content in Borderlands 3, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified for my future videos. I also want to give a quick thanks to @Lawbringer on Twitter for letting me use her art in the video's thumbnail. And I'm going to have a link down in the description for her Twitter if you guys want to go see her art. She has some great stuff there, so definitely go check it out. So with that out the way, let's get into the video. So with Halloween around the corner, I'm going to be making some fun Halloween builds for each Vault Hunter. Today we're going to start with Amara and her build that I'm calling Amaya, Daughter of Krieg. So in this build, we're going to focus on the abilities that really kind of highlight the mechanics of Maya and Krieg in Borderlands 2. Without sacrificing any damage output, so you should be able to do Mayhem 3 content with pretty much any modifier that comes up with little difficulty. So for Maya, we're going to start going down the Fist of the Elements tree, since that kind of is her highlighting features, is her phase grasp and, you know, elemental damage and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to start off with. So we're going to grab some Anima. We're going to go 5 into Anima. This will give us our increased status effect duration and damage, you know, typical stuff. We're going to go ahead and grab 5 out of 5 in Tempest, and we're getting an additional 5 from our class mod. So this is going to increase our elemental damage, which is, as some of you may know from watching my previous video, this is definitely the best damage you can get on Amara, since this is a multiplicative damage boost. We're also going to grab Illuminated Fist for the synergy with Krieg's build down the Brawl Tree. We're going to go 4 into Wildfire so that we have enough points later on, but this will allow us to spread our status effect. This really isn't needed. If you want to take Steady Hands, you absolutely can, but do not take Infusion. So Infusion will kill you with one of the guns I'm using, so be sure not to use Infusion, because it is very dangerous. We're going to actually go ahead and take 1 point into Dread to get that extra gun damage on grasped enemies. We're going to take 1 into Deep Well for increased magazine size, 3 into Indiscriminate for ricochet chance on other guns we're using, and we're going to go ahead and grab 2 into Sustainment for that lifesteal on elemental damage. This is actually pretty important just for the survivability of the build, so make sure you go ahead and grab that. Next, we're going to go down the Brawl Tree to kind of synergize with the Krieg side of things. Krieg is a very melee, close combat-based character, and had a lot of survivability and tankiness, so that's kind of why we're going down this tree. So we're going to go 3 into Personal Space. This will work with all the weapons we're using. If you do want to use a Face Puncher, it is not going to work on the Face Puncher because of one very specific thing. So in the description it says Amara's weapon shots deal bonus damage. Well, apparently there's some kind of glitch where apparently the Face Puncher's weapon shots aren't weapon shots. So because they're melee, I guess? I don't know. But Face Puncher will work with any gun damage increases you guys have, so if you would like to use it, that's fine, just keep this in mind. We're going to go 5 out of 5 in Clarity. Another option is you could go 4 out of 5 in Clarity and 5 out of 5 in Root to Rise. But we are also going to take 4 points into Root to Rise. That's just going to give us our increase to our max health. It's going to give us the most increase, so that's why it's the most beneficial to take. We're going to go ahead and grab 3 into Samsara and 5 into Helping Hands on the next tier. So Samsara, because we're going to be using Fist over Matter, Samsara is going to help us out a lot with our survivability, giving us a ton of extra health regen, giving us a good bit of extra gun damage, and it's just going to really round out the build and help us survive a lot. Helping Hands, once again, we're going to need some more survivability, so we're going to use Helping Hands to get that 40% damage reduction. We're going to go ahead and take Find Your Center for the melee damage and for the melee range increase. We're going to take 3 into Mindfulness because our shield doesn't really matter here. We don't need to get it all the way down. We don't need to keep it all the way down. It's probably going to be all the way down since it's just such a small amount of shield that we're using. But the movement speed is really what matters here. It's going to help you get around the entire map quicker and just really help you keep your killing up. We're going to take 1 Guardian Angel for the Fight for Your Life regen, or resurrection. And we're going to take 1 in the Blitz for that melee override and extra melee damage. Alright, and I think that's about it. I'll go over the abilities now. So we're going to take Fist Over Matter, we're going to take Allure, and then the action skill element we're going to want to use is Corrosive. And I will get into each of these reasons why later. So let's go over the guns. For guns, you're going to want to get at least 1 melee weapon, 1 weapon that does fire damage, a good bit of it, and then the last weapon you're going to want to get is a compressing Shrieking Devil. It doesn't have to have the compressing prefix, but it just needs to be a Shrieking Devil that shoots radiation, and it doesn't have to be anointed, but it is better anointed with weapon damage. This is the best, I think this is the best anoint you can get on this gun, especially for this particular build. And one thing you do not want to get is you do not want to get any next 2 magazines deal X damage, except for radiation. And the reason because of this is because when this gun shoots, it shoots out novas. And those novas can damage you. So to combat that, we're going to be using the red suit, which gives us 100% resistance to radiation and grants us that immunity to radiation damage. It's also going to deal some radiation damage per second to nearby enemies, and that damage per second will also irradiate enemies. So it's a really great shield. It helps a lot, and you can get it as a brawler, which gives you 180% melee damage while the shield is depleted, and that is great. You do not need this to be anointed. A very, very easy way of farming for this shield is if you do the main quest up to the point where you are driving down the canyon to get to Roland's Rest with Vaughn in the back of your car. When you get to Roland's Rest and talk to Vaughn, you want to talk to Vaughn, you want to quit out immediately after talking to him, copy over your save, reload the game. When you load the game, it'll skip all the dialogue with Vaughn and it'll just give you the red suit. If the red suit does not have what you want on it, you can quit out of your save, go back to the main menu, copy back your save into your save folder, and then reload the game, and you will be able to get another red suit with different stats. So definitely check that out. It's a very, very simple way of getting it. The next thing we're going to need is we're going to need a class mod that boosts our gun damage. It doesn't have to be the Nimbus. It can be the Phaserker, but I find the Nimbus works best. There's also a great synergy with the Nimbus that I can get into that Moxie actually found, which basically, when you use your action skill, the cloud that it creates will deal a certain amount of damage, and then if that cloud procs a status effect, that status effect damage is based on the gun damage that you're holding. So if you have a gun with 5,000 damage per second status effect, then the status effect chance, or the status effect damage of the cloud will be that exact damage. And you really do want to get the action skill cooldown rate for this. It's going to help out a lot. But if you're using the Phaserker, you're going to just want to use a normal Phaserker. You don't have to have any kind of specifics on there except for action skill cooldown rate, in my opinion. And you don't need to have weapon damage or melee damage increases there. It just does help. What you're going to want to use for your grenade mod is you're going to want to use the It's Piss Grenade. This will help you clear status effects off yourself, keeping you alive. Also, any damage that enemies take from this grenade will allow you to do 20% more multiplicative damage to enemies for 6 seconds, which is a huge amount of damage. This helps out a lot. What you're going to want to do is apply Fist Over Matter, throw the It's Piss Grenade at them, and then you're going to want to shoot the Shrieking Devil. And finally, you're going to want to use the Unleash the Dragon Relic. So, Unleash the Dragon you can get from L Dragon Jr. on Eden 6 in Jacob's Estate area. He's a world spawn, so he might not always be there, but if you keep reloading, he will be there eventually, and you can get this artifact pretty easily. Preferably you want one with incendiary damage and melee damage. I believe that the 3 bonuses that can come on this are incendiary melee and incendiary resistance. So you can keep rerolling for these 2, but I mean, you don't have to. And finally, I did want to go over where you can get the Shrieking Devil from. So the Shrieking Devil is on Necrotafeo in the first area. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's the big area where you find Typhon de Leon. And there is a Hammerlock hunt there. And if you kill that hunt, they have a chance to drop the Shrieking Devil. So once again, you want to get one that does radiation. It's very important for that. And you would prefer one that's anointed, but it does not have to be anointed. The last thing you'll need is the Overkill ability in the Guardian tree. You need at least 25 tokens in the Enforcer tree to get this ability, but it is definitely needed for the build. Alright, so I think that's about it for the build itself. I'm going to show you some video, maybe talk you through exactly how to play, and I'll be back. Thank you. Alright, so to start off, you're going to want to get as much overkill damage as you can early, just to get the ball rolling. And essentially, you're going to want to start using your action skill immediately, get those stacks of Samsara up, try and get as much kills as you can with a large amount of damage to get more overkill. And the way you do that, right, is so with weaker enemies you can just use the Nova. However, with the stronger badass enemies, especially the badass with the armor bars, you're going to want to melee them. So that's the whole reason we're using Corrosive as melee, is to allow us to do a large amount of melee damage to them initially, and allow Unleash the Dragon to take care of the rest. So when you come across a yellow bar enemy, especially one with a shield, you're going to want to strip their shield first, then melee them. That melee should proc a large dot on them so that once their armor gets stripped, their health will almost immediately go away. When you come across anointed enemies, you're going to want to switch over to your fire weapon that you brought with you that is strong enough to deal with an anointed, and then just take them out quite easily. The dot from Unleash the Dragon unfortunately won't kill anointed with corrosive damage being your melee, because they resist corrosive damage and your dot's going to be too small to kill them. So you're really going to want to make sure you have a strong enough fire weapon to take care of anointed, and that should really be like the only time you need to switch weapons. But you will have 2 other slots as well, so you can take multiple different things if you want to have fun with other items. Okay guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you like the build, please leave a like on the video. And if you have any comments or suggestions for what I can do to improve, leave it down in the comments below. I do read and reply to every comment and really appreciate your support. Finally, go check out @Lawbringer on Twitter. Her art is really awesome, and it's what inspired me to make these Halloween videos. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.